weekend and rain. We'll see what we get. Is the AC working?
It's like a little swimming pool in here.
Yeah, it's swimming pooly. I smell chlorine, do you?
Yes, it smells because of the
Smells like
humidity
chlorine.
and the chlorine. It's like a swimming pool in here.
I think the floor was mopped down with bleach at some point.
I'm thinking, yeah.
I was in here the other day and it had that smell.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I feel like I'm feeling cool air, but it's not really drying out the humidity.
Well, that's always been an issue with the system. Yeah.
We spoke to a bunch of people today, and you and I can discuss if you like on Tuesday
Yeah.
after we speak to the
There was one young lady I did respond to
Yeah,
who had
I
been.
saw that 11 o'clock
Yep.
Tuesday. So if you have time after we talk with her, we can talk about everybody.
Yep, that'd be great. That would
Maybe
be
they'll be off, but she gave me preferences and
Good.
what she's thinking.
good. Excellent. I'm just not accustomed to it being down for that long.
Well, I have to know. It's 9:39. Charles Michael. By the way, this was unearthed with people packing up. I want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Do you mind if I store it with my stuff?
Hang on one second, so I can actually look at what we're discussing.
Yeah. You want glasses in the back of your head?
I'm working on it. I put in a request. Give this to Christian.
They must have been on this thing and it was just left out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Please.
This is like if somebody says to me, my bar mitzvah was on this date in 1942, which is what the portion was.
Yeah, I just go to Heath Cal.
Don't use books. This is the book man, and you go to Heath Cal.
I go to Heath Cal.
This is the perfect book. I love this
It is
thing.
a great book.
Do we need to have master tonight?
Master optional.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think starting, it's gonna be the second Friday and Saturday of the month, starting again in June.
Second Friday. What is this Friday?
We're at the end of May, Phyllis.
By the way, whatever simple lessons were announced in the
Of course they were. And I am happy to, we can make blessings.
So I put it in the
Oh
outline.
my God. Please, dear God. January 2023.
Yeah.
Just gonna keep saying that. What else can we say?
No.
There's one PDF that's on here for you. Thank you. So Cooper's doing good.
Yes.
Good.
I mean, it's good for me too. I'm loving it. Thank you.
You know, he's a good reader, so make sure he doesn't get lazy. But you know, good readers can get away with stuff. He's a good keeper.
Yeah.
So make sure he's practicing, okay?
Brother's lazy. He's not that lazy. He's a good
Good.
discipline.
Good.
Not lazy. You gotta go up 5 years. And then Do you have a bar mitzvah coming up? No. Well, yes, but it's.
Phyllis, you wanna light candles tonight?
Oh, okay.
I'll call you. Oh.
I just want to let you know, I had mentioned to Lisa, I need to,
Okay.
I wanted to be here at least for 30 minutes.
I appreciate that. No worries.
Didn't want you to take it personally, like I didn't like.
No,
things you were saying.
and I will,
So I hope I don't miss your sermon.
Well, it'll hopefully get recorded one way or another. Yeah, I saw we have yard site tonight. In fact, Dad's name got listed twice for some bizarre reason. It's all good. Oh, God bless us. Get in there.
Talk about it in advance.
Yeah, I'll do my part.
Thank you, Michael.
I will do my part. Okay. Yeah, it is a little bit muggy in the sanctuary, and I apologize. We are experiencing technical difficulties, and I know we're working on it. You know what? I don't know, but I think I'm going to be happier. There's something with the hard mic that is not happiness. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
As we prepare to usher in Shabbat, we gather here in the sanctuary at the Brooklyn Heights Synagogue. We have one more Shabbat coming where we gather here in the sanctuary. And I'll talk more about that toward the end of our service, about what happens over the summer and the fall. So welcome to those who've gathered. We are mask optional, so certainly given circumstances in the city, no one should be embarrassed to be masked in the sanctuary. For those of you at home on Zoom, you can be mask optional, at least if you're at your own home. Also it's good to have, I think between the sanctuary and probably Zoom, we have Minyan, which is a nice thing to have at the beginning of the service. And here we are at the beginning with our Memorial Day weekend, the beginning of the summer season. Also, as we transition from the book of Leviticus to the book of Numbers, another way of keeping Jewish time, we are gathered to bring a close to the work week, usher in a day of being and reflecting. That's what Shabbat is really all about. And so I want to invite you. You can just follow along the service right up on the wall. There's also a PDF that's been loaded onto the website for those following on Zoom. You can follow along with that. We encourage you to participate, to be present, to let go of all of those things that drag our attention elsewhere for the next hour, and to come together and celebrate community. We are on page 2 in our prayer book, and right up on the wall, I want to call on Phyllis Starkman to come on up for the kindling of Shabbat lights, the last creative endeavor of our work week. I'm going to bring that forward to you just a little. Let me help. They're magic candles. They don't light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahad lifnei Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Shalom. Watch your step. We join together on page 9, or right up on the wall, with a responsive reading. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. And there are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty, a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We're going to join with the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat. If you turn ahead to page 13 toward the bottom, you'll find Psalm 96, or right there up on the wall.
ישמחו השמיים ותגל תגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים ותגל תגל haaretz Yiram hayam umlo Yiram hayam umlo Yiram hayam umlo Yiram hayam umlo Yismechu hashamayim V'tagel tagel haaretz Yismechu hashamayim V'tagel tagel haaretz.
So many of the Psalms that invoke God speak to the strength we lack and need. When we speak of God, we can only speak in metaphor, for to experience God is just beyond the limits of who we are as mortal creatures. Yet we know there come moments where we are simply lacking strength, lacking hope, lacking courage. There are moments where we have to turn not only inward, but also outward. The word God, the idea of God, represents that source that we affirm is there to be touched, to be felt, to be connected with. That source of strength and reassurance that will buoy us up at the most difficult of times. The words of Adonai Oz le'amo yitain from Psalm 29, you'll find them, the final two lines of the Hebrew on page 19 are right up on the wall. May God grant strength to our people, and may God bestow upon our people peace. That's really the strength that we always seek, is to find that balance, that fullness, the wholeness, that strength that is peace.
Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yivarech et amo Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom v'shalom Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yivarech et amo.
Each week I remind us that the mystics envision Shabbat not merely as sacred time, but the embodiment of that sacred time as a sacred personage, a beloved, a lover, friend, bride, groom, queen, king, whose return we await each week. It's no secret that we say that Mashiach Zeit, the time of perfection in the future, is also called Yom Shekulo Shabbat, the time that will be all Sabbath. Each week we get a little taste of what the world perfected might be like with our taste of Shabbat. So we return to our hymn, Lecha Dodi. When we reach the last stanza, we will arise, turn toward the entryway, and invite, embodied, personified, the one whom we've awaited all week, their return, Shabbat. Let's join with the cantor, pages 20 and 21.
Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi Lecha dodi likrat הדודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה. לך, לך, דודי, דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך, לך, דודי, דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Number 5.
התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך, לך, דודי, דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We arise, face the entryway, invite Shabbat to join us.
בואי ושלום עטרת בנה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך, לך, דודי, דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Having arisen for welcoming Shabbat, let me invite you now to take a moment, greet one another, those you've arrived with first with the word Shabbat Shalom, then take a moment to introduce yourself to someone new. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Things are good? Good, good, good. Can't complain. Oh wait, I have to put myself on mute or people text me and say, we hear your whole conversation, Serge.
These moments are getting longer and longer and longer. Stay tuned. The rabbi's coming back. We need Miriam to start playing us back on.
And once again, apologies about the AC. I know the AC is out. We're working on it. You are welcome to have a seat for a few brief moments if you wish. If you want to keep standing in one position, that's fine too. We are at Psalm 92, page 22, up on the screen, Mizmor Shir, Liyom HaShabbat, a psalm, a song for the Sabbath day.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינות, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך במעשה ידיך ארנן, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון.
The custom of rising, sitting, standing developed over the centuries as chairs and pews were introduced. One of the bad things about that happening is that it made the service longer. So something to contemplate when all those ups and downs, all those padded chairs. Originally there was but one seat for the president of the congregation, and that was it, and everyone stood for the length of the service. So I like to say, as we now enter into the main body of the service, and there's please rise if you're able in body and or spirit, keep in mind, if you just want to stay standing, that's fine. If you just want to stay seated, that's fine. All of these motions, the choreography of worship, were intended to help us focus our bodies with our prayer. And so when the getting up and down gets in the way of that, my thought is just let it be and stay focused on your prayer. So I will invite, as you are able and willing, to arise in body and or spirit. We are at Reader's Kaddish on page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
בעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיא, יתברך יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן.
Page 28, the call to worship. Invite you to have a seat if you wish. We join together in the English of the creation prayer on page 31 together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We join with the cantor in the singing of Ahavat Olam, page 32, or up on the screen.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachveinu u'b'komeinu, nasiach b'chokecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, ve'orech yameinu, uvehem nege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Join with the cantor in the chanting of Ve'ahavta, page 36, or right up on the wall.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 39, or right up on the wall. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. The words of Micha Mocha, page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך שמו.
גאל ישראל.
Amen. The words of Hashkivenu, our evening prayer, recited each evening, that asks that as we prepare to lay down to sleep, and as our souls ascend and our bodies lay unprotected, that we will have an opportunity to arise renewed in the morning, our bodies refreshed, our souls come clean, the world perhaps closer to peace.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמע צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו ושומרנו לחיים.
The Chatima at the bottom of the page.
ברוך אתה, אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו. ועל ירושלים שלום. ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו. ועל ירושלים שלום. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל.
We often think of Shabbat as ritualistic. We forget that Shabbat is the perfect intersection of the ethical and the ritual, included as the sole ritual commandment of the 10 Commandments. We are also reminded that Shabbat is not just about us, but those who depend upon us, those who work for us, those who labor for us. We are reminded that we may be free to choose a day each week, perhaps more than one, when we cease our labors. But there are those who work for us, depend upon us, who do not have that freedom. Shabbat is commanded so that we might take a step back, but also those who work with us and for us can also have a day each week. The perfect intersection then of the ritual and the ethical, a reminder that not only do we get to imitate God who took a day of rest, but all those around us created in the image of God deserve a day of rest each week. Vishamru, Exodus 31, page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השבת את המים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם
I invite you to rise as you are able and willing in body and or spirit as we come to Tefillah, the standing prayers, the Amida, page 46, or right up on the wall.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחייב ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללו הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
As I say each week, we have different customs, and it's okay for the sanctuary to have more than one custom. If you'd like to remain standing through the remainder of Tefillah, please do. If you'd like to have a seat, please do. We are on page 55. We're right up on the wall as we join together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Page 57, we join together. Ever-present one. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land and Zion restored, in all lands you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai Shotecha levadecha b'yira na'avod. Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul or light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh. Lehodot.
Amen.
The final prayer of Tefillah, Birkat Shalom on page 60, Shalom Rav, the prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון, לכל השלום, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. טסים לעולם, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך טסים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם.
ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. Don't stop after beating those swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first. Take these moments now for silent prayer, meditation, traditional text at the top of page 62 or whatever our own hearts prompt.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. May the words of my mouth and meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehu leratzon himrefi והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
The cantor reminded me that although normally our simchas are celebrated on the second or third Friday of the month, somehow, maybe in this week's notice, it says there's Simcha Shabbat.
Yep.
So is there anyone who showed up tonight to get a Simcha blessing? Maybe it's okay if you did. Miriam, what are you celebrating? Congratulations. What's next? Congratulations, Bahatzlacha to him. Anyone else celebrating something this month? Oh, we are. What are we celebrating, honey? Our twins turn 18, Bud, and?
We have 2 almost high school senior graduates.
Yes, it's very, any moment now. Anyone else celebrating anything? Cantor.
My son turned 16.
Mazel tov to Rafa.
Yeah.
My grandson graduated from college.
Congratulations. What's next?
A job.
A job, there we go. Okay, just checking. Jen? Happy birthday, 21 again. 21 again.
21 again. I thought you were going to ask me how old I was.
Never ask a lady how old she is.
That's very red. And my older son just won the gold prize in a music competition.
Oh, Mazel tov. Congratulations.
Wonderful.
Dare we ask what genre of music?
It was creative videos. So he played piano and then composed basically video, his piano set to video that he also created.
Congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing the clip. And
19 years of wedding bliss.
oh, Mazel Tov. Oh, beautiful. So let's join in reciting Shehechianu, and then we can sing Siman Tov u'Mazal Tov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Praise to you, eternal our God, sovereign over time and space, who grants us the gift that is life, sustains us in life, and brings us to these joyous moments. Amen.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yeheilanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael, Yeheilanu, Yeheilanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Israel, Yeheilanu, Yeheilanu, Ulechol Yisrael.
Good sign, a lucky sign for us, for all Israel, indeed for all the world. I have spent this week thinking about, considering the well-known definition of insanity. You recall what that is, right? Repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. The murder of a score of students and teachers is clearly not enough in this country to produce a different outcome. A little bit of history. This phenomena of shootings, mass shootings at schools, began in the memory of most of our lifetimes with the University of Texas tower shooting in Austin, Texas on August 1st, 1966, when 25-year-old Charles Whitman fatally shot 15 people, injured 31 from his perch in that tower. Since then, on April 20th, 1999, 18-year-old Eric Harris, 17-year-old Dylan Klebold killed 12 students and 1 teacher at Columbine High School. Additionally, they injured 21 people. On April 16th, 2007, 23-year-old student Sung Hui Cho, armed with 2 pistols, killed 32 students and faculty members at Virginia Tech, wounded another 17 students and faculty members in 2 separate attacks on the campus. On December 17, 2012, 20-year-old Adam Lanza first killed his mother at their shared home before taking 4 of her guns and driving to Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, where he killed 20 first-grade children aged 6 and 7, along with 6 adults, including 4 teachers, the principal, and the school psychologist. 2 other persons were injured. Are those numbers large enough? I doubt it. Not large enough for a change. Neither were these numbers. 60 people murdered and 411 injured in 2017 at the Las Vegas Strip shooting. Not the 49 murdered at the Orlando nightclub shooting in 2016. Not the 26 at Sutherland Springs Church in Texas at that shooting in 2017. Or the 23 at the El Paso Walmart shooting in 2019, or the 10 killed at the Top supermarket in Buffalo last week. I have been wondering just how many people, just how many children have to be murdered before we Americans decide to demand that our elected officials pass reasonable gun control laws. Certainly the number 30,000 Americans who die each year due to gun violence isn't enough. It's an old, familiar number. I've been preaching on it for almost 2 decades. We are clearly comfortable enough with it to go about our daily business, not much concerned. It's about the same number as die of the flu each year. What number of murdered in a single shooting would it take? Because we know that 20 or even 60 won't change a thing. We Americans are inured to death as the consequence of our desires and conveniences. Change will come only when something more powerful than the numbers of the dead confront us and our elected leaders on a daily basis. Numbers won't win. What is more powerful than these numbers? Well, we Jews already know the answer. A name. A name is always more powerful than any number. Our American idolatry and worship of firearms will only change. Our willingness as a nation to offer up our children as idolatrous sacrifices will only stop not by counting the numbers slaughtered, but by naming each and every victim. We read in Isaiah 56:5, "To them will I give in my house and within my walls a memorial and a name. Better than sons or daughters, I will give them an everlasting name, so that they shall not be cut off from memory." If that sounds a little familiar, if you've traveled to Israel, maybe you've seen that quote in English above the Hebrew. It's the source of our term Yad Vashem, literally hand and name, Yad being understood as memorial, and Shem as something more than simply your name, but something eternal. After all, we call God Hashem, the one who is named. As long as we Americans continue to argue about numbers rather than names, rather than the individual human lives, I think we will have no chance of entering into a true dialogue about protecting the lives of our children. We who would challenge and change the status quo in this country are called upon to learn and recite and inscribe those names, the names of those who've been murdered by gun violence, to tell their stories, to share their photographs on more than one day of the year, and to insist, I believe, to change our national dialogue, to insist on a memorial in the capital of our nation that records our failure and our responsibility, inscribing each and every one of their names, just as we've done in wars, just as we've done so often. The great poet Zelda wrote, this is always the problem when the computer is set on double-sided printing. And the rabbi spent the day in traffic. Okay. May I restart? Is that okay? I'm sorry. I'm sufficiently verdreit. These names that I shared are just the school shootings. And I listed just those school shootings where 10 or more individuals were killed. So let me share a few other figures with you. Each day in this nation, 12 children die every single day from gun violence. Another 32 children are shot and injured but survive every single day. Guns are the leading cause of death. among American children and teens. 1 out of every 10 gun deaths, 10% in this nation, are children 19 and younger. Since 1970, the U.S. has had 2,032 school shootings. And since the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School, the rate has only increased. That shooting in December of 2012. Since then, since Sandy Hook, there have been 948, almost 1,000 school shootings in the last 10 years. Since the historic attack at Columbine High School in 1999, nearly 300,000 students have been on campus during a school shooting. Think about that. The sad, cynical truth, as I said, is that numbers do not compel change in our country. 1 child murdered at school by another student with a gun should be enough to change our love affair, our national idolatry of the gun. But it isn't. Sadly, there is simply no number of murdered innocents compelling enough to inconvenience those who worship at the idolatrous altar of the National Rifle Association. And numbers, as I said, will not change that culture and thinking of a nation too besotted by firearms, by the deadly adult toys that serve neither hunting nor defense. We Americans are inured to death as the consequence of our desires and convenience. And so, a name, Yad Vashem, a memorial and a name. This is how we Jews have learned to preserve memory and to demand justice. Those of you who've been to Yad Vashem know that it's not the number 6 million that has power. It is the photos and the names of each victim. And I believe this is the only way we who live in this nation can try to shift the culture and discussion about gun violence. Yad Vashem, with a memorial and name of every child, every student, every teacher, every employee who's been murdered on school grounds in this nation, by demanding that their lives be remembered by their names and not merely as a number. By the establishment of a national memorial in our nation's capital that will proclaim those names for eternity and will record every new name as an indictment of the failure of our elected leaders. Names, shemot, not numbers, are what we must bring to the conversation with those who continue to say expanding background checks would not be acceptable in my state. This is not an answer. It's not a response. It is a pure refusal to enter into conversation, to enter into dialogue. This is a refusal to acknowledge the problem. And as long as we argue numbers rather than names, rather than individual human lives, we will have no chance of entering into a true dialogue about protecting the lives of our children. We who would challenge and change the status quo in this nation are called upon to learn and recite and inscribe the names of those who've been murdered by gun violence, to tell their stories, to share their photographs, to insist on a memorial in the capital of our nation that records our failure and our responsibility by each and every one of their names. I am not much of a community organizer. We've had rabbis here who have that great strength, but that's not to say I don't occasionally try to make an effort. This afternoon I was on the phone with Nydia Velasquez's office asking her to sponsor legislation in the Congress to do just this, to create a memorial that will list every child, every student, every teacher, every employee of every school who's been murdered in this country due to gun violence, and to keep adding the names until, God willing, one day it stops. I'm hoping Nydia, after the holiday weekend, will get back to me with the desire to sponsor and seek co-sponsors, for I believe the only way we will change the dialogue or the lack of dialogue in our country is for those names to stare out at our elected leaders in our capital every single day. The great poet Zelda wrote, "Each person has a name, given to him by God and given to her by her parents. Each person has a name given to her by her stature and the way she smiles, given to him by his clothing. Each person has a name given to him by the mountains and given to her by the walls. Each person has a name given by the stars and given by their neighbors. Each person has a name given by their sins and given by their longings. Each person has a name given to him by his enemies and given to her by her love. Each person has a name given to her by her holy days and given to him by his work. Each person has a name given to them by the seasons and given to them by their blindness. Each person has a name given by the sea and given by their death. And now it is upon us to give each and every one of these students, these teachers, all who died in schools from gun violence, it is time for us to give them Yad Vashem, a memorial that acknowledges their name. Shabbat Shalom. My apologies for, I very rarely misdeliver, but it does happen. I'll post the text so you can read it correctly from beginning to end. I always appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts and the privilege of holding this pulpit. I hope you'll respond after Shabbat, and hopefully we'll enter into a dialogue. It's rare that from this pulpit I actually offer something tangible, much less something that I think we should engage in advocating for with elected officials. Not that that's ever wrong, but I don't know what else to say or to do. Our country just seems unable to discuss this matter. And it seems to me the only thing to do is to hold those names up and inscribe them and make sure they're looked at every day and recited aloud. Alexandria Ania Rubio, 10. Alethea Ramirez, 10. Amere Joe Garza, 10. Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez, 10. Eliana Cruz Torres, 10. Eliana Eli Garcia, 9. Jackie Cazares, 10. Yalia Nicole Silguero, 10. Jace Levanos, 10. Jose Flores, 10. Lila Salazar, 10. McKenna Lee Elrod, 10. Mady Rodriguez. Miranda Mathis, 11. Nevia Bravo. Rogelio Torres, 10. Tess Marie Mata. Uzziah Garcia, 10. Xavier Lopez, 10. Eva Moreles, 44. Irma Garcia. I encourage, as we learn more about these names and better pronounce any mistakes I've made, I solicit those of you who may have a correction to make to please do so. We want to make sure we pronounce names correctly. I think I did not put the right Misha Berach in the text tonight. So you can find, for those in the sanctuary, you can find the correct text pasted in on the back cover. And I will share names of those in need of blessing and healing. Lori Blum, Gloria Sancho, Jenny St. George, Chava Gittel Bat Freda, Yona Chaya Bat Miriam, Ruth Bat Binyamin Bachava, Steve Brown Inns, Yona Tevya Ben Label, Begita Henya, Renee Fishzone, Moshe Ben Leah, Nancy Lazar, Delroy Aline, Max Estroff, Heike Bat Freda, Chaim Kim Petchek, Peggy Einhorn, Bruce Shapiro Nygren, Eleanor Shapiro Nygren, Baylor Rivka Bat Shmuel Pesach Esther, Susan Sonkin, David Stephen Cohen, Peter Hort, Ken Kalman Cohen, Christy Frank, Sally Sorbello, Vlada Rusev, Nick Boyer, Julie Bromberg, Eileen Dernfeld, Tom Walton, Judith Mincha, Chris Adam, Tim Weber, Jay Wertheimer, Ari Gilbert, Roberta Jamal, Rivka Batnochem Vipero, Gilbert Young, Kathy Nesson. And I think that is all the names I have for prayers for healing. If you have names you'd like to add.
Alexander Bansara.
Sandra Schapp.
מי שברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. מי שברך אמותינו, שרה רבקה לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer.
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 Hear our prayer and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mi shebeirach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi shebeirach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Cain, Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will. Page 258, page 259, you'll find the prayers for our nation and for the state of Israel. There we go. Let's join together. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country sound in body and spirit. Amen. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Grant them deliverance and adorn them in a mantle of victory. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. We are at the 6th week of counting the Omer, so one more week until we make it to Sinai. Close, close. Hineni muchanum zuman lekayem mitzvat haseh shel sfirat haomer. Behold, we are ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom shnaim v'arba'im yom shehem shisha shavuot la'omer. Today is 42 days, which is 6 weeks in the counting of the Omer. May we recommit ourselves in our journey from slavery to freedom to our commitment to covenant and engagement with our tradition. I'll invite everyone. We're going to turn to our concluding prayers, Aleinu, on page 283. And once again, I invite you, as you are able and willing, to rise in body and or spirit for the Aleinu, page 283.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגר עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרמים. הוא אלוהינו אינו אדם את מלכנו, אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בחשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר וחי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We call to mind loved ones who are gathered with us through the blessing of memory. These passings in the Shloshim: Ann Dacus, recalled by Jeff Dacus and family; Basil Ivanchenko, recalled by Cecile Hanft; Shirley Ruth Applebaum, recalled by Amy and Molly Applebaum. Congregation extends condolences. We also recall those whose yahrzeit falls at this season. Lucille Strauss is recalled by Cecile Hanft. Frida Boykoff is recalled by Emily Berger. Stuart Benson Gold is recalled by Hannah Ninkov. Levon Steamer is recalled by Amy Leesman. Philip Schneider is recalled by the congregational community. I told you Dad was listed twice and by Dana. Isabel Ehrlich Goodman is recalled by Bobby and Molly List. Lillian Kingsley is recalled by Howard Helene. William Bill Taylor is recalled by Ann Landman. Ronald Rapchick is recalled by Linda Rapchick in the community. George Rubin is recalled by Amy Leesman. Ben Silverstein is recalled by the community. Etta Starkman is recalled by Phyllis Starkman. Sarah Schneider is recalled by Robin Slade, Ed Gabay, Jesse, and family. Carol Rosenblatt is recalled by Nina Rosenblatt Silva. Max Cohn is recalled by Jack Cohn. Arlene Gordon is recalled by Josh Gordon. Robin Pappas is recalled by Brooke Lux. Selma Wallace is recalled by the community. Norma Buckholtz is recalled by Cheryl Buckholtz and Sheila Scharfman. Seymour Feller is recalled by Andrea Feller. Joseph Ezekiel Jacob is recalled by our congregational community. Lena Harris is recalled by Diane Person. Andrew Edelman is recalled by Ellen Pemstein. Joseph Powers, Sidney Powers, and Robert Spire are recalled by Jeff Powers. Phyllis Schlagman is recalled by Renee Fishzone, and L. Newman is recalled by Hillary Newman. And we recall those victims of Uvalde and Buffalo: Alexandria Nia Rubio, Alethea Ramirez, Ameri Joe Garza, Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez, Eliana Cruz Torres, Eliana Eli Garcia, Jackie Cazares, Yalia Nicole Silguero, Jace Luvanos, Jose Flores, Lila Salazar, McKenna Lee Elrod, Mady Rodriguez, Miranda Mathis, Nevaya Bravo, Roelio Torres, Tess Marie Mata, Uzziah Garcia, Xavier Lopez, Eva Morales, Irma Garcia, Roberta A. Drury, Margus D. Morrison, Andre McNell, Aaron Salter, Geraldine Talley, Celestine Cheney, Hayward Patterson, Catherine Massey, Pearl Young, Ruth Whitefield. If there are other names that should be shared aloud at this time, or any names that I've inadvertently mispronounced or failed to share aloud, please do share those names as my hand comes across the congregation. Sorry, Marion. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may their memories be for blessing. We join together in the words of the mourners Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
B'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei zechol Beit Yisrael, B'agala u'vizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitromam v'yitnatzei, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei kudusha b'rihu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlam Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source that makes for peace in the high heavens cause peace to descend upon us, all Israel, our entire world. And let us all say,
Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Ve'imeru. Amen. Please be seated, everyone. It's my pleasure to call upon Marcia Bellows, president of our congregation, to share this evening's announcements with us. Let me turn the mic on. There you go.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Lipp, for the very important sermon. And thanks to Cantrell and Miriam for the lovely music. And thank you, Jen Richardson. Is she still here? I don't
She had to
see-
run.
Okay. Well, thanks to Jen Richardson, who was our trustee greeter tonight. We all appreciate that. I have a few announcements. Havara is 9:30 tomorrow with Rabbi Lipp in person and on Zoom. Also, we have some temporary changes with where we're going to be. We hope that you read the email that went out on Thursday at 11 a.m. There are very pertinent details about our upcoming relocation. And if you have not received a copy of that email, please get in touch with the office so they can resend it. As you are aware by now, our construction project to join the two buildings into one unified building has been underway since March of last year. Friday night services and Saturday morning Havurah will temporarily be at St. Francis College Auditorium at 180 Remsen. And the very first Friday night service at St. Francis will be June 10th. So next Friday is the installation Shabbat, so we hope that you can all come and welcome Lauren Young as president. And then we move to St. Francis on June 10th. Have some updates on Surge's Silver Celebration, which was a magical evening with lots of community building and a fundraising success, I'm pleased to report. Our net profit, we met our goal, which was very exciting. The total revenue collected was $422,000, and the net profit was $330,000. So thank you to all who participated in any way, the gala committee, Rhonda Epstein, Melissa Kubin, our great executive director, Linda Harvey. They all made it, and everyone else made it just a wonderful evening. And next, the BHS Summer Camp is accepting applications. Next Friday is the Israeli Movie Watch Group. The group will meet at 11:15 a.m. to discuss a film called Shoelaces, a 2018 film directed by Jacob Goldwasser. Then we have a welcoming Shabbat is on the stoop every Friday at 11 to 11:30. Come enjoy the singing, dancing, and blessings. And finally, check your website to see how we can assist those in Ukraine and for some wonderful social action opportunities that are available, especially in regard to climate change, which is an issue that the Social Justice Committee is working on. So that's it. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, thank you. So just to reiterate Marcia's point, next weekend is a busy weekend. Friday night, our last Friday night in the sanctuary for the foreseeable future. There'll be, in addition to the installation of our new trustees and officers, there'll also be a celebratory oneg upstairs. So, you know, there are people who do just, you know, show up for Kaddish and oneg, but whatever, come late, leave early, it's all good. So that'll be next Friday. Saturday, Miles Solar will be called to Torah here in the sanctuary. I am committed to having the AC working by then. And then Sunday morning is Shavuot. Actually begins Saturday night, but we'll have our morning Shavuot service, including participation by some of our confirmands, as well as Yizkor, which is the custom of us Ashkenazi European Jews 4 times a year. So whether you've received a letter inviting you or not, if you are in the habit of reciting Yizkor, that'll be toward the end of the service, but we will be, that'll be our last service in the sanctuary, starting Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. It's a weekend, so 10:30 a.m., not too early, and finish around, I think, 12:30 here in the sanctuary. Our closing song in honor of Memorial Day weekend is the national anthem. So I'll invite you to all rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Brave and courageous, may we be as a nation. May we be brave and courageous enough to say no to the things that we need to say no to. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Please join us outside for Kiddush. Shabbat Shalom.
It's all about them keeping cats.
its last gleaming.
Yes.
Okay, so all I have to do is hit the link.
Just hit the link.
I don't have to do anything
I will
else.
be on there a few minutes early, and I'll get going, and anyone who's on there, I'll manage it all, I'll share the prayer book on the screen.
Thank you. That's
We don't have to
wonderful.
do anything except appear, and then there'll be a moment, I don't know if you didn't tell us this, but there'll be a moment before we all say the Scottish and sing the Almana Rahamim, that, we invite people to share memories. So, they, I'll manage the Zoom, people put their hands up or whatever, and invite people to talk a little bit, right? What is a show for, except to
Thank you very much.
don't forget to make me a host.
I know, I'm going to make you the co-host. I know, I haven't.
Thank you. I'll text you and remind you if you don't.
By the way, did Christian leave already? We can't put the computer there because the IR, I have to do this, which looks really lousy.
Oh, it doesn't.
Because it's sitting in the cushion.
Of course, you're pointing at the computer.
The reason that that ledge is there is so I can do this.
Of course.
So that no one's seeing what I'm doing.
I got you. Yeah,
But, everyone,
we'll tell.
there's a reason.
I didn't even
There's,
know that.
there's a reason for everything.
I was wondering why it was so hot.
Search doesn't do things just because.
Whatever happened to wise inconsistency?
Yes, well.
Oh, good lord. I need to sleep.
Yeah.
I need to sleep. And you know what I need? Is I need to clear my head. There's too many things. That's what I need. Need to be able to clear things, my to-do list, every time I take something off, I put two things on. To clear my head.
How do we not have Miriam's father on the list?
Miriam's father wasn't on the list.
Miriam Lukatinsky's dad. That was the name she said. Yes, I'm sure. I don't know. And here's the thing.
But it's entered correctly into Schulfeld, right?
Of course, it's entered correctly. Everything's entered correctly, whether we generate the lists correctly